You clicked on this video because you want to know which online brokerage is the best. That is a fair question, but the answer is far more complicated than a simple name drop. The real problem is that chasing a single winner creates decision paralysis and leads you to pick a platform that might be perfect for someone else, but disastrous for your specific situation. By the end of this explanation, you will understand why the concept of a best brokerage is a myth and how to identify the exact tool that matches your unique financial reality. Let us start by examining what happens when you search for the top broker. You will immediately encounter a chorus of voices on Reddit and other forums crowning specific names like Fidelity or Schwab as the undisputed champions. These platforms are indeed massive, offering incredible stability and a wide array of services. However, these endorsements are heavily contingent on specific constraints that do not apply to everyone. For instance, if you are a U.S. resident with significant capital and a preference for human advisory services, these giants make perfect sense. But if you live in the Netherlands or any other non-U.S. jurisdiction, these same platforms become architectural anti-patterns due to geopolitical friction and regulatory barriers. This geographic reality is the first critical insight. A platform that is the gold standard in one country can be completely inaccessible in another. Investors in Europe often find that US-centric giants are less viable than European alternatives like Interactive Brokers or DeGiro. These alternatives offer essential fractional investing capabilities and access to local markets that the American giants simply cannot provide to their international users. If you ignore this, you might spend weeks trying to open an account on a platform that will ultimately reject you based on your location. Now consider the size of your wallet. For investors with limited capital, perhaps saving $300 to $500 a month, the fee structure becomes secondary to a single capability: fractional shares. If a broker does not allow you to buy a fraction of a share, you cannot execute your strategy at all, regardless of how low their commission rates are. This is where the search for a best broker becomes dangerous. A platform with zero commissions might be useless to you if it does not support fractional trading, leaving you with cash that cannot be invested efficiently. Quick resource note: I keep a curated set of Amazon search links in the description for books, gear, and tools relevant to this channel's topics. Some are affiliate links, so I may earn a commission at no extra cost to you. Please consider supporting the channel by using those links if you find something useful. There is also a fundamental trade-off between trustworthiness and usability that most people overlook. The consensus for trust usually points to Fidelity, Schwab, or Vanguard. These institutions are built on decades of reliability and safety. On the other hand, platforms like Robinhood are often dismissed by seasoned investors for reliability risks. They prioritize a superior user experience that is incredibly intuitive and modern. For a beginner, this usability can be the functional optimum, allowing them to start investing without being overwhelmed by complex menus. However, this same simplicity can mask reliability risks that only surface under high-frequency or high-volume trading conditions. You must decide if your priority is institutional depth or a frictionless entry point. The market consensus reveals that for long-term, low-frequency strategies, the top 3 U.S. brokers are functionally equivalent in terms of safety and fees. This renders the search for a single best entity a non-issue unless specific edge cases apply. If you are a buy-and-hold investor, the differences between these major platforms are negligible. The real value proposition shifts entirely based on your location, asset class, and trading frequency. Here is the thing that complicates the narrative even further. The distinction between execution and research is often blurred in marketing materials. Platforms like Intellectia, AI, and Danelfin provide institutional-grade AI analytics but lack trade execution capabilities. This proves that the best tool often requires a composite of separate services. You might need one platform to execute your trades and another to provide the research that informs those trades. Relying on a single broker to do everything perfectly is often a mistake. When we look at safety, we find that SIPC insurance is a universal baseline rather than a differentiator. Almost all regulated brokers in the U.S. offer this protection. It ensures your securities are protected up to certain limits if the broker fails. This means that safety is not a feature that distinguishes one broker from another in a meaningful way for most investors. It is a requirement you should expect from any legitimate platform. The true value proposition shifts entirely based on the investor's location, asset class, and trading frequency. This brings us to the core insight that changes how you should view broker selection. The optimal brokerage is not a static ranking you can find on a list. It is a dynamic function of your specific trading frequency, asset class, and account size. A platform that is the best for a day trader in New York might be the worst for a long-term investor in Amsterdam. The best broker is the one that aligns perfectly with your current constraints and goals. To illustrate this, consider the data from practitioner communities. When Reddit users discuss the best brokerage account, the answers vary wildly depending on the specific constraints of the user. One user might recommend a platform for its credit card rewards, while another prioritizes the stability of a different provider. These endorsements are heavily contingent on specific constraints like U.S. residency and significant capital. Conversely, investors with limited monthly budgets find U.S.-centered giants less viable than European alternatives. This geographic and financial segmentation challenges the best myth, revealing that a platform like Robinhood, dismissed by many for reliability, may still be the functional optimum for a specific demographic prioritizing user experience over institutional depth. The market consensus reveals that for long-term, low-frequency strategies, the top 3 U.S. brokers are functionally equivalent in terms of safety and fees. This renders the search for a single best entity a non-issue unless specific edge cases apply. The distinction between execution and research complicates the narrative further. Platforms like Intellectia, AI, and Danilfin provide institutional-grade AI analytics but lack trade execution. This proves that the best tool often requires a composite of separate services. Ultimately, the evidence suggests that safety via SIPC insurance is a universal baseline rather than a differentiator. The true value proposition shifts entirely based on the investor's location, asset class, and trading frequency. You must stop looking for a single best answer and start evaluating which platform fits your unique profile. If you are in Europe, look at Interactive Brokers or DeGiro. If you are a beginner with limited funds, prioritize fractional shares. If you value user experience over deep institutional features, consider the simpler interfaces. The best broker is the one that disappears into the background of your financial life, allowing you to execute your strategy without friction. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I am a one-person team working hard to make each video better than the last. Subscribe if you found value. It is the best way to show support. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. See you in the next video.